Hey everyone, and welcome to your lower body mobility session. For this session, the only things you're going to need is some music that helps make you feel good and helps you relax, and also potentially a mat for some comfort with the ground-based movements. The structure of the session is designed around mobilizing your lower body, increasing flexibility, and preventing injury. So find yourself some space. And let's start with something called an Ostrich Step. So keep the chest nice and high, step 1 foot forward, dig the heel into the floor, and then initiate a hinge from the hip. And we're just going to alternate legs as we go. So try and keep the spine relatively flat. Dig the heel deep in towards the floor, push the bum back, and feel some length in the hamstring and the top of the calves. Now it's super important that throughout this session you just take it at the level that feels comfortable for you and how you feel today. As you start to warm up through the hamstrings and the calves, start to take the toe down closer to the floor. So the sole of the foot begins to edge towards the ground, and we deepen the stretch into hamstrings. Let's do one more rep on each side. And then take a little shake through the legs from here. Take the feet nice and wide, dig your heels into the floor, and turn your toes outwards. We're going to begin to do something called an in and out squat. So just watch me, and once you've got the grasp of it, you can join it. So heels down, toes out, squat low, let the knees track out, pull the toes inwards, initiate another squat, pushing the bum back and down, then pull the heels inwards. You're going to keep on inching in and out until you reach the middle of the section, or until your heels start to lift. If the heels start to lift, just start to work your way back out. And once you reach the middle, initiate the outward phase. Now the depth of your squats will massively depend on your hip mobility, back mobility, and ankle mobility. But all we're doing is warming up around the knees, through the groin, and deep into your hips and glutes. So we're going to complete this entire sequence twice. And in the second round, try and find more mobility. So more depth in your squats this round. Keep your breathing relatively slow and just relax your body. And once you've found the start position, stand tall, give your legs a little shake. We're going to head into something called a Hindi squat. So find a comfortable squat position. Once again, secure the heels to the floor, keep the posture high, and we're going to drop into a really, really low squat position. So bum drops down, you might need to adjust your feet for some comfort. And then the heels are still firmly on the floor. From here, press the palm of the hands together and lift the chest. Now this is not a stress hold where we're holding a squat position. We're trying to drop the bum as close to the floor as we can, and then just letting the mobility of the hips and groin suspend us there. Keep the chest nice and high, and if you need to at any point, you can stand out of this stretch and then reset. We're going to spend another 15 seconds static before we start to roll through the ankle joints. So take some really deep breaths and relax the body into the stretch. From here, start to take a little rock side to side. Still keeping the heels down on the floor. Just push into the ankle joint and start to move through the lower body. Chest still stays high, and there should be a sense of tension down the mid to lower back. From here, just relax the body, take the hands behind the legs, and ease your way back onto your bum. So the next section is going to be predominantly ground-based, okay? So first things first, just adjust your sit bones till you find some comfort. Take the legs long, just slide forward slightly. Just keeping the toes in a very, very neutral position just now. and just finding a bit of length through your hamstrings. Now everyone's hamstring mobility differs, so if you find that you can lean a little bit further forward, then that's perfect, or if you're a little bit higher, that's okay, as long as the focus is on the back of the legs just now. From here, slide the leg closest to me inwards, so the sole of the foot comes to the inner thigh. So in this position here, we find some comfort, and all we're going to do is turn the chest towards the long leg, and pull the chest down towards the thigh. Now I'm just using my calf as a little anchor point, or a little point for me to pull from. I'm not forcing the stretch, I'm taking it to a stretch of comfort, and just using that to secure my body in position. Take a couple of deep breaths from this position. And then as you exhale, try and empty your lungs and slide a little bit deeper into the stretch. Good. Now take this long leg and fix the ankle just onto the top of the thigh there. So, flex the foot, find some comfort in the position, and just sit in a cross-legged position with the long leg now on top of the bottom leg. Just spend some time here opening the hip, so by pushing the knee down slightly, mobilising to the hip joint, and if you can, just take a slight lean forward. Now if this position is not comfy, you can adjust the foot position so the foot rests on top of the calf, or even inside the thigh. Pull the chest high, and then take another slight lean forward. Still just focusing into our breathing just now. Real deep breaths to help assist the stretch. Now very gently, take the top leg and start to place the sole of the foot on the outside of the thigh. So from here we start to find a stretch on the outside of the thigh, deep into the glute. And all we're going to do is give ourselves a little cuddle. So take this arm, wrap around the thigh, and start to look towards your pocket. So in this position here, the predominant focus is on the side of the glute. If it feels good, you can use the back arm to start to twist and anchor the body round. Just ease your way out of the stretch and untangle your body. From here, readjust your sit bones, so find some comfort on the floor, and take the opposite leg so the sole of the foot is on the inside of the thigh. Once again, we'll readjust, chest faces towards the long leg, and then lean forward. In this forward lean, we're just trying to find another stretch in the hamstring. Now from here, take the long leg, flex the foot, find some comfort with the ankle joint resting on the thigh, lift the chest, and then just use your body to mobilise the hip joint. So you can either just take a little lean forward, or you can use the hand or forearm to push the knee down to open to the hip. And this is just going to set us up for a mobility flow that comes later in the session. Once again, find some additional comfort just by adjusting the sit bones in the bum, lifting the chest and taking a subtle lean forward. The sole of the foot pulls down towards the floor on the outside of the thigh. Find some comfort, and then just start to wrap the arm into a gentle glute stretch. So once again, outside of thigh and the side of the glute. If you are feeling quite mobile just now, you can take the arm long and start to twist more through the body. Good. From here, untangle your body and place both soles of feet together. So find some comfort, pull the soles of the feet together, and then pull the heels close to the bum as you can. From here, lift the chest nice and proud, push the knees towards the floor, and then start to take another subtle lean forward. Now as you are leaning forward, you're trying to keep a nice long line down the spine. Just hinge from the hips until the stretch through the groin increases. And use your breath to assist the stretch. So deep breaths in, and then as you exhale, hinge further forward. Good, now lift the chest, ease out the stretch, and we're going to pull to something called frog pose. So, first of all, come into all fours, into horse stance, so hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and then all you're going to do from this position is spread your knees wide. So pull the knees wide as you can until you start to feel a stretch through the groin once again. Then from here, pull the heels outwards until the ankle is in line with the knee joint on both sides. You want to flex your feet and then start to drop down towards the forearms if possible. So if you found that frog pose, just stay there for me. And I'm just going to set up from an angle so you guys can see what happens with my knee and joint alignment. So from here the knees come out, then I pull my heels out until there's a 90-degree angle at my knee joint down towards my ankle on both sides. Forearms if you can, and you're going to sit into this position until you feel a deep stretch in the hips. Now from here, using your forearms, almost like a saw, you want to lean forward out of the stretch, and then push back into the stretch. So when you're pushing back into the stretch, you should feel the tension build. And once again, you can really focus on using your breath to assist with this stretch. Keep the feet flexed, so toes towards the shin bones to protect the knee joints. And just keep that gentle rock forward and backwards going. One more time. This time as you push back, take a full exhale, so empty your lungs, and just hold in that deep stretch. Good, ease out of the stretch, take the palms back onto the floor, and then just gently pull your knees back towards that horse stance. So from the horse stance, just take a little bit of time just to relax the hips, and let's move deep into our hip flexor muscles. So, first things first, keep the hands down, step your right leg so the sole of the foot lands beside the hands, and just lean forward. So from this position here, all we want to do is lean the hip forward and ease back out again. So lean forward, so the quad starts to come towards the floor, and we're just playing with that stretch through the hip flexor. And this is going to set us up beautifully for our mobility section. From here, just swap sides. So pull back to horse stance, step the left leg in, and start to ease the body in forward and back. Now you notice that when I am moving forwards and backwards, I'm almost just dropping my bum and hip towards the floor, and that's what increases the stretch to the hip flexor. Try and take the laces of the shoe or the top of your foot towards the floor and just ease the body in. Beautiful work. Good. From here, pull back into horse stance, tuck the toes underneath, and we're going to lift into a version of down dog. So, first things first, push the bum up. Try and drag the heels towards the floor, tuck the chin between the arms, and feel that big stretch through the hamstrings. Now from here, we're going to find our mobility flow, okay? So first things first, float towards a plank position, step your right leg beside the hand, keep the back leg off the floor, lift the chest to open towards the inner thigh, open through the body, reset down, and step back to plank, then down dog. Back leg does the same, so float towards plank, back leg steps, open the hip, and twist towards inner thigh, reset back to the ground, step back to plank, lift the down dog, and let's do that flow 3 times on each side with a bit more pace. So we're going to step, open, reset, down dog. Switch sides and step, open, reset, down dog. Now keep that flow going, and you can slow the pace down if it feels good for you, or you can stick with me. When you do step wide, make sure you plant the sole of the foot down beside the hand, and try not to let the heel creep away from the ground. So last one here, reset back to down dog, and from here, take a gentle walk of the legs. So bend one knee, push the heel down, then swap. So this is where a mat comes in handy because you don't start to slide around on the floor. Heel down and opposite knee down. And you're just increasing that stretch through the calves and the hamstrings. Good. Now from here, float back towards the plank position. Take your front leg forward into something called a pigeon pose. So, check it out from the front angle. Take the front leg in, so the knee comes forward, and then bends to a 90-degree angle. Pull the toes towards the shin to protect the kneecaps again, and then with the back leg, you can pretty much do whatever you want with that. Now focus on twisting the chest towards the front thigh, and then just lowering the body down to where it feels good for you. Focus on the stretch of the hip and the glute, so if you can drop down to forearms, as long as you find that stretch in the glute and the hamstring and hip. Couple of deep breaths here. Place both palms of the hands onto the floor. You're going to tuck the toes of the back leg, pull into a plank, and then swap sides for ease. So, opposite leg steps through, find that 90-degree angle, so it comes forward, find the joint, flex the toes, and drop the chest down towards the thigh again. Plant the hands back into the floor, lift up to a plank, and this time step your right leg forward so the sole of the foot is once again beside the hand. Now from here, this is super important. Drop the back knee down, and we're going to stick the heel deep into the floor, but we're going to turn the toes outwards. So we turn the toes outwards, we find a little bit of comfort, heel still stays down, and then with the back leg, we're going to take the laces down onto the floor and try and drop the pocket down towards the ground. So we're almost twisting our chest the same direction as the toes. Push the hands into the floor, and then lift your bum away from the floor and drop back down. Just use this to mobilize deep through the glute medius and focus on anchoring the heel down. So if you've got that, just keep on going with it. If you're struggling, I'm just going to show you from a different angle. So the toes turn away from the body, then the chest follows the toes. Drop the back hip down towards the ground, so the thigh is almost on the floor, almost like you're trying to touch your pocket on the ground, And you want to lift the hip up, drop back down. So lift up and drop down. So it's like you're looking over one shoulder and then trying to look over the other shoulder. Rest here, pull the foot back in, tuck the toes, step back into plank, and then let's swap sides. So once again, step the foot, drop the knee, turn the toes outwards, laces of the back foot on the floor, and we want to drop the pocket down towards the ground, and then we lift away from the floor, and drop back down into the floor. So we're using quite a lot of upper body strength from this position to roll through the body and really work deep into that glute muscle. Once again, just really enforce the heel down into the floor to lock in that safe stretch. Good, 3 more times here. Once again, you can take this at your own pace, or you can stay with me. And rest here. Pull back into child's pose, and just take a little moment to recover. So if you want to, you can pull the knees slightly apart so the bum can fit between the ankle joints. Relax your body down and just breathe. When you're ready, just pull your hands beside the chest, tuck the toes underneath, and just gradually make your way back up to standing, okay? Now just take your time in this. Just catch your breath, and as you stand, just curl your body up 1 vertebrae at a time. Take a little shake of the legs. Spend some time just finding your body position again, and find your comfort on the floor. From here, we're going to take it into an easy quad stretch, okay? So, take the heel towards the bum, try and squeeze the thighs together as you do this, and push the hips forward. So we're trying to stretch this big quad muscle down the front of the thigh. You can take the arm long for balance, hip for stability, or some people find it quite helpful to hold on to their ear as well. Now if from this position you're not quite finding the stretch through the quad just yet, then you can either try and push the hips further forward, or you can take a really, really slight lean forward. This is also a really nice test of balance as well. Start to lift through the chest. Just gently release the leg, and then swap sides. Chest nice and high. Once again, if you want a little bit more, just start to dive towards the floor. Lift through the chest, release the leg, take a little shake and a little breather. Now from here, once again, heels pull wide, anchor the body down, and we're going to move back into that Hindi squat that we started with, okay? So from here, lift to the chest, the legs are warm, so we can drop a little bit lower into the stretch. Once again, you might just want to find some comfort and adjust your heel position until you can get a nice comfortable position from here. Pull the palms together and lift through the chest. And we're just going to use the triceps and the elbows to press against the inner thighs. Now in this position, fill your lungs. Keep the breathing light and deep. do is spread our arms wide and use the triceps to push the knees a little bit further out. The hands come down to land on either the floor or the feet. Push the heels down and very, very gently lift the bum up. Adjust the heels until you find some comfort and a deep stretch through the hamstrings. Very gently roll up through the spine. Take your right leg, wrap it behind your left leg, and then push your right hip out. From here, arm reaches, feel a little stretch down to the side of the hip joint towards the IT band, and if you want a little bit more, start to look gently across your top shoulder. Feel how that brings the stretch down to through the obliques as well. Untangle the body, stand back to center, and then swap sides. Gentle lean to the side, push the hip through, and if that feels nice, start to look across the top shoulder. Try and push both heels deep into the floor. And then from here, just roll the body around, relax, untangle yourself, and take a little shake. Fill your lungs and just shake your body off. Guys, absolutely incredible work. That was your lower body mobility session. So a perfect way to finish a workout off, set a workout up, or just to mobilize your body and reduce your chances of injury. Well done.